Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, October 9th here. If you are looking for sports betting information, you've come to the right place. Sports by the Book. We are here live at the South Point Hotel and Casino, Monday through Wednesday here for Sports by the Book. It is Family Matters. I'm Alex White. It is a daughter-father show on these days. Sitting next to me is Kenny White, a.k.a. the Wizard of Odds, professional sports bettor. We've got a lot to get to. We've got 30 minutes of today's action. We'll go through as many games as we can. And then the last 30, we've had some requests. It is week 7 of college football, week 6 in the NFL. We have 4 college football games we're going to break down. What are you looking forward to the most today? A lot of good things to bet on.
Good morning. Well, I'm here safe and sound. Greg picked me up, gave me the ride, and there was accidents everywhere. A pile up, a horrible accident on Blue Diamond. And for some reason, there's 6 Metro cars out in front in the building. So make sure you mind your P's and Q's here today. I'm looking forward to baseball, Alex. We'll get into sports. Yes. Baseball, 4 games, and baseball has been very good to me the last 2 days. It seems like every direction I've gone has been like gold. And when you get 6 runs or 5 runs, I think 5 or 6 runs that Padres got. Was it a 6-run second? 6-run second.
Final was 6-5.
I think it was 6-5 right? Final. That's all they scored was in the second inning. But when you have the Padres, you have the first 5, you have the over, and you have a parlay, and you get 6 in the second inning, it's a bonanza. Hey, birthday. Happy birthday.
Very good. Let's keep that
present.
going.
Yeah,
today. 4 games today to look at.
Like to keep it going last 2 days. As I said, 7-0 in my baseball the last 2 days. So hopefully the numbers will continue to be strong.
Common denominator, you did have a chauffeur, Greg Sidoris. Are we going to keep him around? Maybe you'll have a driver from now on.
No, maybe. Yeah. He lives in a much nicer place. I think he likes where he's at. He lives in a paradise, an unknown, untapped, amazing area of the country in Florida that he lives in, the Weeki Wachee River, a river that comes from the ground, so it's clear, and it's the same temperature all year around, 72 degrees. It is amazing, and you can kayak down that river, and it's about 10, 12 miles long. It empties into the Gulf of Mexico, and it was just sitting on those kayaks, just looking around, and you feel like you're in a rainforest with beautiful clear water that's warm, and it's an amazing experience.
Well, speaking of Florida, thoughts and prayers, I know it's been crazy down there as well. So,
he's here, and that is going to tornado or drop. It's a tornado. 100-mile-an-hour winds tomorrow morning are expected to hit landfall. So
something to keep an eye out too. And I know one game has been canceled, but nothing more as of late. But more importantly, the lives of people down there, and hope everybody stays safe. But there's no easy transition. We're gonna move to baseball here. And we're going to start in rotation order because I know we do have some day games coming up, but the Cleveland Guardian Tigers game is first with time. Rotation number, Phillies and Mets. Mets get a big win yesterday. I believe you like that site as well. So today, Ranger Suarez on the mound, 12-8 this year, 3.46 ERA, and Quintana going for the Mets, 10-10, 3.75 ERA. Anything you like in this one right now? The Mets -112, total 7.5.
Well, a couple things. When you have your back to the wall, you play your best. So we expect that out of the Phillies. When you're one game from clinching a series, that's the hardest thing to do because you're thinking about that all night. We just need one more. We need one more. And to clinch a series in any sport is the hardest game for you to win. So all that, and then my numbers shake out. I made the Phillies $1.52, not putting any emphasis on those 2 factors. I know I'm going to get a great effort from the Phillies. Their offense is tremendous against left-handed pitching. Jose Quintana is a veteran lefty that gets by, and he has pitched well as of late, really well. Last 5 starts, 6 2/3, 5 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. So he's been great. But I don't think he's a great pitcher. He just had a nice little run, and he's pitched well. Philadelphia is the best lineup he is going to be seeing over that time. So I gave him their full rating. Ranger Suarez, another veteran lefty who has been through the rigors with the Phillies, winning a world championship. He pitched in relief. He closed games. He started. He's done it all. I expect a good outing from him. So my total in the game, 9. So another game where I have the Phillies laying the price. That's, I think, the better bet because it's really not, I mean, I'm really not playing a favorite. They're very small. Basically, you're laying the juice 103. And I do like it over, but not as much. So I did play 1.5% on the Phillies, 1% on the over, and a pizza money parlay. Phillies and over.
Well, there has been support here for the Mets to close out this series, and now we're getting a plus price with the Phillies. So maybe even wait a little bit longer. A lot of people on this grimace train. And the Mets, they do have a lot of energy. They're having fun. They're, for once, the pressure is off of them. Nobody really expected them to be here. But this Phillies team, as you mentioned, very good lineup. They have been in the postseason for the last few years. They are going to give it their all tonight.
As I said yesterday, I didn't bet the Phillies because Aaron Nola has been playing keep away and working deep in accounts, and it cost him yesterday, and he got knocked out. And today, Ranger Suarez is not going to do that. Suarez is going to go right at hitters. Whether he has the same command or not, he is going to challenge hitters and go right after them. So, and Quintana will as well. He'll go after the Phillies, but the Phillies lineup from top to bottom versus lefties is the best in baseball.
It is a lot of fun. I've been doing this for years. Of course, with you being my father, but a lot of people watching the show have said the same things as you're just so knowledgeable. You give out this great information that nobody else really dives into, or just like small little nuggets like that. Watching that game last night, I actually noticed that with Aaron Nola. So it is very interesting and fun. So when you think of these things and know these things, please continue to share them with us. We're going to go to another game. I know you don't have a bet on this. I just have, I do have Cleveland to win this side. So I would like this win here. Tied up 1-1, the Guardians and the Tigers. We've got Alex Cobb going for Cleveland, and we've got Brant Herter going for Detroit. Relief pitcher, right? But he has pitched quite a few innings, 45 1/3 already pitched this year, but never as the starter. Do you understand this move from Detroit? I believe you did briefly bring it up yesterday, and you like it. You agree with this from the Tigers.
Well, I really like Brant Herter, what I've seen out of him. And I've always coaching baseball, and that's why I noticed Aaron Nola, because I was very fortunate to work with one of the best pitching coaches in Nevada. He won 15 state titles as a pitching coach, and his pitching fundamentals and mechanics are by far the best. And I can look at a pitcher now just from what he did and tell you if he's going to have arm problems because of his mechanics. I can tell you and watch an Aaron Nola and see he's playing keep away. And that used to frustrate me as a manager of a baseball team, that your pitcher was playing keep away. If you hit 300, you're a Hall of Famer. The hardest thing to do is hit. You're a pitcher. You have the advantage. You're going to get him out 7 out of 10 times. Challenge the hitter. And I used to have to yell that to my pitchers all the time. I could tell when they were playing keep away or when they were overdoing it and trying too hard. They stay with them themselves. They throw strikes. They're good. Now, Herter does that. He doesn't play keep away. He challenges hitters. He throws strikes. He's not going to give you any free passes, and you have to earn everything you get off of him. Alex Cobb is pretty much the same way. I worry about Cobb, though. He hasn't pitched since September 1st. This guy has great stuff when he is 100%, but how can we expect him to be 100% on a month? I take 20% off a pitcher's rating if they're off 10 days or more. It's very important to see hitters, as it's important for hitters to see pitchers. The more they do, the better they get. But so I've got question marks on Alex Cobb and how he does in this game. I'd like to see Cleveland win. The mayor of Cleveland's here. Cleveland is your team. You want to see Cleveland win. I don't have a bet on the game, so I'll be rooting for the Indians. I did make them a small favorite, $1.13, and giving Alex Cobb basically an average rating. He's way better than that. And you mentioned Brant Herter. Now, he got called up from the minors. 45 innings is not a lot of innings as a relief pitcher. And he's only made one start. But in his last 5 outings, he pitched 5 innings in relief. 5 innings plus in relief. So he was piggybacking off of an opener in those games. He's not the opener. nobody's piggybacking off him. They're going to let Brant Herter go 5 or more if he can today.
Both righty pitchers here. You've talked about Cleveland a lot as well, right? Very heavy lefties in their lineup.
But they've done a good job of, I think they have 3 switch hitters and they platoon 2 or 3 guys. So they only hit 3 lefties versus a lefty. So they've done a really good job of that.
So no play on that one, just a rooting interest for us here with the Guardians. Another matchup that is just 1-1. So those two are just slightly behind the other 2 series. New York Yankees and the Royals. Seth Lugo, know his name very well, covering baseball all summer long. On the other side, I'm going to be honest, have not seen Clark Schmidt's name for the Yankees very often. So I'm going to need you to kind of give us a breakdown. We have our graphic up here, 5-5, 2.85 ERA, and 1.18 WHIP for him. Yankees are a small favorite, -113, total 8, juice to the over, -115.
Yeah, Clark Schmidt's been really good for the Yankees. He's a former first-round draft pick out of South Carolina, so he is the real deal. 28 years old, 2.85 ERA on the year. Now, he did have some time on the injured list during the season, so I don't recall why he was out for a pitcher. It could be, a myriad of things. It could have been an ankle, could have been a calf, could have been a hamstring. We hope it wasn't, a shoulder or an elbow. And if you're strained in those areas, a couple months rest will do you good and you can be back. His last 5 outings, 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. And he did pitch on September 29th. So he's almost 10 days. I worry a little bit him being off that amount of time. We know he's going 5 innings and giving up 2 runs. On the flip side, Seth Lugo, as you mentioned, what a year he's had. And it doesn't matter home or away. It has been the same all year. And his last 5 starts have gotten even better. 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Now that's not against the Yankees. I can pull the game logs up real quick, but he has pitched very well. I don't have a play on the side.
Yes. But
I do like offensively. The Yankees lineup is still outstanding. And Judge got a hit yesterday in the playoffs. He has struggled mightily in the playoffs. Maybe that hit yesterday will help him today. They are on the road, less pressure on the road. You don't have the home fans to, want to get that W. I made the total 9.5, and it is 8. It opened 7.5 over. So otherwise, guys have agreed with me on that and bet the game over.
So Aaron Judge and Mookie Betts both get a hit. So in the playoffs might help both of them, and we'll get to that game here. Very interesting at the South Point. We do have the baseball team total so far in those 3 games. Every team is the same, just 3.5 runs. Now the juice is a little bit different. Yankees over 3.5 is -140. Royals 3.5 over just -120. So if you something to look at here, and going into that final game, this is the one that has a little bit of a difference here. The Padres team total is set at 4.5. If you like that over, you're getting +110. But let's go ahead and move to that game. Excited to see Dylan Cease will get the start here for the Padres. Even though I know we haven't seen his best stuff as of late. Remember, he did throw a no-hitter and then bounce back that very next game. Has been tremendous for the Padres. On the other side, undecided here on my odds page, but I believe it is Landon Knack. Correct me if I am wrong. Padres -128, total 8 under, -115. Padres do lead the series 2-1.
Yeah, the Dodgers, the poor Dodgers right now, the pitching has just been decimated with injuries over the last couple of years, and they don't have their guys. They've got a great offensive lineup, one of the best in baseball, but pitching, they are short on pitching right now. I'll look and see. I this morning saw a site had Ryan Brazier. A couple of sites had Ryan Brazier today for the Dodgers. He is a lefty. That would be the opener, 28 innings, a 0.96 whip, 5 walks to 25 strikeouts. So a 5-to-1 ratio. He has been very good out of the bullpen. He is a left-hander that can give them an inning or 2. Now I look back at the Spank Odds screen, and we saw Spanky yesterday. He was here meeting with Chris and Vinny and showing off his product, the Spank Odds screen. He now has Landon Knack pitching today for the Dodgers. So to me, that's bad news. The Padres have hit righties way better than they've hit lefties. I loved the idea when I saw Ryan Brazier as the opener for this game because I figured he could get him 2 innings, no runs, and the Dodgers may put up a run or two against Dylan Cease early. So I like the game over as is. I made it 9. This total 8 under 15. This is another one where the Padres are trying to close it out and the Dodgers have their back to the wall. I made this game pick with Brazier, with Knack. Probably going to make the Padres about $1.20, but for the factors that I just mentioned, I like the Dodgers. I like the game over. Dodgers and over. Their bats have to come through, and they have some of the best. Shame that Freeman is not healthy right now.
I mean, that game, like you mentioned, 6-5 total yesterday, and as good as Michael King has been, the Dodgers got to him pretty early. They had 1 run, Mookie Betts' home run in the first, and then scored 4 in the third. So we'll see what happens tonight. I definitely am with you on that over for this game between those two. We're going to shift to, we have 1 college football game on the board tonight, and then we will go to NHL. So we do have regular season hockey. There are 5 games on the board. We'll kind of just quickly go through those if there's anything that we like in those games. And then about halfway through the show, 9:30, we will get to those college football games that people did request. I'm excited to talk about those and look at the numbers. Tonight's game, though, New Mexico State versus Jacksonville State. Tony Sanchez, new head coach at New Mexico State. It's been a struggle for him. Really tough loss, losing Diego Pavia there, who had been so good for that program at the quarterback position. I think that is their weakest area right now. That is why you're seeing Jacksonville State as a 3-touchdown favorite, minus 21 in this one, total 59. I don't know if you have any official plays, but you want to kind of break down this game using your power ratings and what you see from each side.
Yeah, let's get to that game. I have it right here. Tony Sanchez, you mentioned, we know Tony very well because he was the head coach at Bishop Gorman High School, handpicked by the Fertittas. And they did the coaching search. They did the interviews, and they handpicked Tony, and he did an amazing job at Gorman. He made them a national powerhouse.
Yes, he did.
And he was so good that the Fertittas said, we want UNLV to be good. If you could do it at Gorman, you should be able to do it at UNLV. And he was there for 5 years, a record of 20-40. And then let go from his position at UNLV. So Barry Odom now there has turned the program around. So Tony struggled at the college level, as all high school coaches do. When they make that jump from high school to college, it is a completely different jump. And you have to learn the position. All the only guys that are high school coaches that have been successful are guys that come in as an assistant for 4 or 5 years, not just one. They need to learn the offensive defense. They need to learn the entire business before they become the CEO. Well, Tony Sanchez had now a couple of years to learn the craft. He was a head coach for 5 years. He'll use that experience at New Mexico State. Jerry Kill was the head coach there. And Jerry Kill is one of the best in college football ever. He came from Northern Illinois, went to Minnesota, did really well there, but Jerry had health problems and had to step down. Got his health under control. He took the job at New Mexico State, a program that had won 5 games in 3 years. That's it. Jerry won 7 in his first year just because he knows fundamentals. He puts people in a position to succeed. He wins 10 his next year. That was last year. And Jerry Kill stepped down, probably health problems again. He is now the consultant at Vanderbilt to Clark Lee. Vanderbilt just beat Alabama. There's no doubt Jerry Kill has already put his touch on the Vanderbilt program. He is helping Clark Lee build something there. But Tony Sanchez, 1-4. This program won 17 games the last 2 years, and they're 1-4. Now, their quarterback did go. Diego Pavia went to Vanderbilt with Jerry Kill. So that's a big reason that Vanderbilt is so successful, too. They got a quarterback that can win and has shown it at the college level. So Tony Sanchez will try to build this program. I have him 133rd offense out of 134, a 130 defense out of 134. I have them the 131st best team in college, or third worst team in college, we'll put it that way. 87.5 rating. Their performance rating has been an 89. He is 2-3 covering spreads. He covered last game against New Mexico. His biggest rival That's the biggest rival they have. They lost 50-40. Now they're going out on the road against Rich Rod. Rich Rod's team's hot. I only made the game 16.5. And I don't like to lay favorites. But Jacksonville State started slow. They lost their first 3 games, and then they beat Southern Miss 44-7, and they beat Kennesaw State 63-24. Covered both games. Rich Rodriguez, and if I don't write it down and I don't have it, I forget. But once I see something like that, I remember Rich Rod. He loves to run up scores. He will not take his foot off the gas pedal. Bad sportsmanship from Rich Rod, and it's going to continue. But when you're a bettor, you kind of like those kind of guys. When you're competing against them, you don't, because bad sportsmanship is when the game's in hand and you're still throwing it instead of running the ball to run the clock and get out of Dodge. He's going to try to pile it on. This is a game that he could pile it on. New Mexico State may not be ready. Jacksonville State is now starting to click on all cylinders. They love to run the ball. Both teams run the ball. Rich Rod really was the guy who invented the spread offense with the RPOs, with the quarterback and the running backs. It didn't happen until he invented it, or his offensive coordinator did at West Virginia about 20 years ago. He brought it into the college game, and it's moved into the pro game. And Tony Sanchez ran that exact same offense at Gorman and UNLV, and it will run it here at New Mexico State. But this is a game that could be a Rich Rodriguez run up the score game. Be careful and watch that in game.
I'm also going to be watching with that total there sitting at 59. I made it 53.5, but with all those things that you're saying with Rich Rod and looking at Jacksonville State 4-1 to the over. On the flip side, New Mexico State 2-1, so nothing really there, but kept me off of the total, even though I'm going to make adjustments, but to lean to the under for me.
Yeah, it's hard to do when you know if he wasn't going to run the score up, it could be 33-16 late in the game, and that's what it's most likely supposed to be, or 35-17 in that range. He's going in again. He's scoring and making it 42 or 49 if he can. He wants to have the biggest difference that he can. Maybe his boosters give him a little envelope on Monday when he covers point spreads. We don't know that because that happens everywhere.
We're going to go to some hockey now. 5 games on the board. Do you have your hockey numbers at hand? I did not print my own spreadsheet for hockey, but I have some notes here. I have the goalies that we're starting at. We just have to add that to the checklist every morning, just like we check the pitchers. You got to double check which goalie will be starting for every team as we get deeper into our hockey season here. But as long as you have the numbers, we can kind of go through those and give people.
Again, I apologize for interrupting me. If you interrupt me, though, I will put you in the corner. You'll have to go to the corner. So, I did not check goalies today, and I'm glad you said that, but we'll check the Spank Odds screen and see who he's got at goalie. Toronto, Joseph Wool is out, and he is doubtful, and I had him in. So they will not go with their first stringer for Toronto tonight. He is out with an injury.
Anthony Stolarz will go for Toronto. He was the backup of goalie Bob last year in Florida. Now it's part of this Toronto team. His record last year, 16-7-2. 2.03 goals against. So very good there. On the flip side for Montreal, it will be Sam Montembeault, 16-15-9 with a 3.14 game against average last year. Toronto, pretty big favorite on the road, -190. Total 6.5 between these two.
I only made him $1.56 with the number one goalie in for Toronto. So that's a game I'm definitely going to look at. I did not bet any hockey whatsoever because I like to have some type of feel for the game too. The numbers are very important to me, but the more the feel you can get for these teams and how they're playing is very important. And I don't have that yet.
Hey,
I'm going to go check for you real quick and see what your grandfather made the game.
Okay.
And I don't really give out his stuff too much, but he's got Toronto a really big favorite, 250-6. He really likes the Maple Leafs. I don't. I didn't make it that high. So it is a pass for me. I would never lay $1.83 in the first game of the regular season, home opener for Montreal.
Well, we do know Toronto, though, regular season team, they always look very impressive and come out pretty strong. So yesterday we did have 2 overs, 1 under with that Kraken and St. Louis game. Seattle had a nice lead and then gave up 3 goals in the second period to St. Louis, which kind of like you always talk about those certain baseball teams with good organizations. We know the Blues are one of those, playing against a newer franchise there. Good thing we stayed off that Boston-Florida game. Final score 6-4. Florida getting that win with no Swayman for Boston. And then Utah hockey team did get their first win in Utah, 5-2 over Chicago yesterday.
You went backwards on me. We started to handicap the first game and then went to do results from yesterday. And, I saw something about somebody said Utah hockey team. I'm going to go watch the hockey team play today. I was like, hockey team. And then they were making a joke that why can't they come up with a name?
They will have a new name by next year.
Yeah, they'll have a name. I mean, they're trying to figure out their name. Their basketball team's called the Jazz because they moved from New Orleans. There's no Jazz, I don't think. And they should have been called the Utah Tabernacle.
They have some good options for this hockey team, so it'll be fun next year.
I'm sure. Yeah,
the only thing is the branding part. People buying all of this Utah hockey club stuff to order the games now, and then they have to rebuy next year.
That's part of business. That's thinking outside the box. We can sell them gear now, and then when we change the name, they've all got to buy the gear again. So they'll have a windfall in merchandise first couple of years.
Okay, I apologize. I was trying to give you a little more time.
Is that what you were doing?
Really good game on the board. We've got the New York Rangers, Pittsburgh Penguins. We know both of these goalies going. Shesterkin, of course, for the Rangers. And then Tristan Jarry, still playing, still in the league. He will go for the Penguins.
Jarry or Yari?
Yari. The Rangers, minus 140, total 6 in this one.
Panarin playing for the Rangers, their best player. He is in the lineup. So I made the Penguins $1.13, total 5.5 over. There's agreement with me on that. Betting wise, no, I see the Rangers, as you mentioned, went up a little bit, $1.24 to $1.33. That was yesterday. We're looking at $1.35 here, $1.40, up to $1.40 at the South Point. Pittsburgh plus $1.20.
It's tough. This Rangers team has been so good for the last couple years. Yep. Just can't get over that hump to actually win that Stanley Cup. So
We've had them the last couple of years. You spotted them, I think, 2 years ago. We were doing a couple videos together, and you said, man, I like how the Rangers are playing. And I said, yeah, I love Shesterkin. So I had a couple of futures tickets on the Rangers the last 2 years, besides the Vegas Golden Knights.
We will get to them. They are playing tonight. But first, we've got Winnipeg and Edmonton. Still don't know what the Oilers are doing. Not that Stuart Skinner didn't do good for them in the postseason. I just would like to see them go out and get a Shesterkin or an Aiden Hill or somebody to help them get over the hump. But they are still a big favorite at home today. Minus 175 over Winnipeg, total 6.5. We do have Connor Hellebuck on the other side, who has been very good for the Jets.
He was the goalie of the year last year. Yes. He has been one of the best in the business. I have him rated right up there. I have Shesterkin, I think, number 1 and Hellebuck number 2 in my power ratings for goalies. And that is an advantage for Winnipeg in this game. Logan Thompson was out there as well that Edmonton could have gone after, but their players are so good. Their first couple lines, they just have so much talent. I made him $1.99 and 6 over a quarter. So again, I don't have a feel for these games. We're going to keep going over them until we get a good feel for these teams and then go from there. But I think Edmonton definitely should be a favorite in the range that they are right now.
Connor McDavid, you have to know, or you have to assume that he's out for blood this year, getting that far, being down in a hole, 3-0, coming back 3-3 in the Stanley Cup Finals, and then to lose in that Game 7. Right. So should be fun to watch. But I wouldn't bet on them right now. They are the favorite to win the Stanley Cup. And we've seen this with this Oilers team in the past. They can tend to go through some slumps, so you might be able to get a better number later in the season. Calgary, Vancouver. Calgary's kind of on a rebuild year here. It was between two different goalies who would be starting today, Dustin Wolf, or I believe there was another option that I did not write down. But on the flip side, for the Canucks, we don't have Demko yet. He should be back within the next month or so. Kevin Lankinen will get the start for them. Pretty big favorite. Canucks minus 185, total 6.5, under minus 115.
Yeah, we got, with those goalies out, and I've got to make adjustments. The goalies I had in there are below average goaltenders, and I'm going to make a couple of adjustments. Don't like my total that I made on my spreadsheet. It's definitely not a game that I'd want to bet under. Calgary and Vancouver are over type of teams, and your grandfather told me, and I didn't fact check it, but Calgary and Vancouver are big rivals. They're in Alberta. Last year was the first time in 40 years one of them didn't make the playoffs. One or the other, or both, has made the playoffs for 40 straight years, and last year was the first time that neither made the playoffs.
Vancouver did sneak into the playoffs.
Did they last year?
They did.
Well, then I'm glad I didn't fact check that one. Maybe that wasn't, I don't know.
Maybe that was a different matchup, but
maybe it was the year before that, because that's what I recall him telling me, that, and I know Alberta, when he said that's the area for Calgary and Vancouver.
Because Vancouver, that's when Demko went down in the second
Well,
game.
There are two different provinces up there. There are two different provinces, so I'll have to check into that. I'll ask him today what he meant by that. So
we'll dive into our
I'll
Canadian
find out.
knowledge.
I just thought I thought it was interesting, and again, I should have checked before I said anything, but didn't have time to do that.
Well, Calgary has been sliding as of late. We are used to the Flames being a fast, pretty dominant team here. Last but not least, Colorado and Vegas, minus 110 on both sides, as expected between these two who really don't like each other. Adin Hill gets the start for Vegas. Total 6.5 under, minus 120.
Yeah, I made the Knights the favorite, $1.27, 6.5 under 30. I think that's the right number. You got two very good offensive teams. The Knights played better, I think, in the preseason than Colorado did, but it doesn't mean anything. You can't take the numbers, what happened in preseason, into the regular season. But I do know I like Adin Hill.
Yep.
And I like the home ice for the Vegas Golden Knights. Every game I've ever been to, it's worth the 45 cents on the ice because the fans are great.
Really good goalies going. I'm shocked with that 6.5. Do you know what your number is, or you have?
Yeah, I made it 6.5 under 30.
Okay, so just a small lean there, but that would be the way I would play that. I mean, these two are pretty familiar with each other as well because they have played each other in the preseason. And I mean, yes, they have the offensive power, but they also have very good defensemen and goalies playing as well. So that's it for us for today's action. Couple baseball plays. I do just want to bring up the WNBA. We have our finals set. Minnesota with a big win over Connecticut yesterday. Already here at the South Point, you can come get the odds. Game 1 is tomorrow. Not a big break for the Lynx here. Liberty laying 6 at home in the first game, total 159. And then, of course, we'll have second game Sunday and the third game on Wednesday. Also have the series matchup price here at the South Point for that one.
Split out on that one, the game last night. Minnesota winning, but game went over. Was very shocked. They shot very, very well.
Yes, Minnesota could not miss in that first half. That really hurt our under in that one. And then big NFL matchup tomorrow night, Thursday night football. San Francisco 49ers go to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Never an easy place to play, but you will be actually filling in and doing Sports by the Book tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., and you will be able to break down that full game tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah, I will. And wanted to talk a little bit about, got to make adjustments. And you know how high I was on San Francisco to begin the year. That is a big, big game tomorrow night. Right now, if the season ended today, before playing that game, I have San Francisco 9.6 wins, Seattle 9.6 wins. It is a division that's going to come down to the wire. So as good as San Francisco is and can be, they are going to be in a battle with Seattle all year.
How many years have they won that division now? That's something.
Well, the Rams were pretty good.
That's right. They did just win
for a while. So Shanahan's been there, 8 years now? And I think he's won it the last couple. But before that, the Rams were Super Bowl champs.
That's right. And they did a lot of moves
to
Rams win that Super Bowl.
Yes. So 49ers, I still have the second best team in the NFL. But again, at 2-3, their win-loss only shakes out to 9.6 wins, and that is the closest of any division. The next closest, Eagles and Commanders. I have the Eagles at 10 wins, Commanders at 9.8 wins. And you're right, I'll be here tomorrow.
And that is based off of strength of schedule for the rest of the year as well, right? With your projected win totals? I break down every game and put a point spread on each game that hasn't been played this year, and then you get a money line, which gives you the percentage chance of that team winning that game outright, and those all get added up from what they've done. And on my sheets, I also have projected points for and points allowed I have for the entire season. So I can tell you right now, the highest scoring team in the NFL by the end of the year, the Detroit Lions, 480 points. Baltimore Ravens, number 2 at 474 points. Those are the 2 highest scoring teams in the NFL. Would love to see the Lions make it into the Super Bowl this year. Let's take a quick coffee break, and then when we get back, we're going to break down some college football games coming up this week, week 7. Big games on the slate this Saturday. This is Sports by the Book. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. I'm Alex White alongside Kenny White. We appreciate you all being with us. Quick little check-in with our chat. Vince, Jerry, Ryan C., Nick S., Dean Hilt, and Keith Lyle is keeping this chat going. We appreciate you all. Please make sure and continue to share our YouTube channel, Sports by the Book, so we can continue to grow, get more subscribers. And if you are not a subscriber yet, please subscribe. It'll take about 5 minutes, and then you can jump in here with us on the chat. We did take requests yesterday for some college football games to break down today. That is what we will be doing every week. So if you want to hear our thoughts on a certain game, please join us and jump in the chat. Also follow our social media pages, Sports by the Book, on every platform except for Instagram, Sports by the Book LV. All right, let's get into it. We do have a Friday game request. I was a little bit shocked by this one, but here we are. We've got UTEP, Texas El Paso versus Western Kentucky. Now, right off the bat, there is some injury concerns that we have to keep an eye out. Finley, the starting quarterback for Western Kentucky, did not play the last game, I believe. Caden Veltkamp is the backup there. Been with the program for 3 years. So we'll get your take and the drop off between those two, and if you think that Finley will be playing here. UTEP so far 0-5 straight up, 1-4 against the spread. They are 4-1 to the under. Western Kentucky 3-2 straight up, 4-1 against the spread. Only game they did not cover was that very first game against a very good Alabama team. So right now, Western Kentucky a 20-point favorite at home. Total is 57.5.
Two very good head coaches here. We got a really good coached game, but talent-wise, there is a big difference between the two. That's why the line is so high. And now I gave out El Paso last week and should not have because they were going to get out rushed by Sam Houston, and they did, and they lost 41-21. I saw what Scotty Walden was doing at UTEP. He came from Austin Peay, and he was 27-17 there. He was an assistant at Southern Miss before that. He's got a great reputation. People like him. They're talking rising star in the coaching industry. He loves to go up tempo. He's very innovative on offense, and he's going to be good. But he doesn't have the talent, and he's, played a 3 out of their 5 games on the road. I just thought his team was vastly improved. I think they'll be in this game because they don't stop the run well, and Tyson Helton loves to throw it for Western Kentucky. You mentioned the quarterback situation. Caden Veldkamp has had the better year of the two quarterbacks. I only had a point difference between the two guys to begin the year, and now I have no difference.
Okay.
So there's no drop-off at quarterback. Both teams like to play fast. I made the game 12.5, Western Kentucky, and 56. Here at the South Point, I believe we're around 20. Check real quick.
Yes, 19.5.
19.5 and 57.5. So my numbers are right on. Give you my rankings of the two teams. El Paso's offense, 132. Defense, 110. Overall, 125. They're a 91.5 rating, but their performance rating's been a 95. Hats off to Scotty Walden. Obviously, good coaches get more out of the talent, and he'll do that. Tyson Helton, I have 74th best offense, 77th best defense. So they're better both offensively and defensively. They are at home. They are 92nd ranked in the country for me, 100 rating. Their performance rating, 102. Tyson Helton's a good head coach. He's getting more out of his team, too. So I can only make it 12.5, but again, these are not my best plays when I'm taking 3 touchdowns and the dog's in the game, and then the late third quarter, early fourth quarter, they start to gamble and try to get back in the game, and you get a pick 6, you get a fumble recovery, and you get crazy things that happen. And El Paso has not won the turnover battle once this year. They're -5. Western Kentucky is even the turnover battle, but as you mentioned, the only game they haven't covered was against Alabama. They've covered 4 straight games, and they have a good head coach in Tyson Helton. So he's not going to run the score up, though, so you don't have to worry about him.
Just to piggyback off of your kind of the talent difference here and talking about these quarterbacks, I have Caden Veldkamp. His numbers, you said he has the better numbers, completing 70.4% of his passes, 8.2 yards per play, and an 8-4 touchdown to interception ratio. On the other side, for UTEP with Cade McConnell, completing just 58% of his passes, 6.9 yards per play. That's not bad, but 3-2, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions for him so far this year. So
they've also used their second string quarterback, Locklear, who's played, and he's played a little bit better than McConnell, but I have both guys rated about equally.
Okay, so they might switch off back and forth. We're going to go to the next game on the board, and that is Texas and Oklahoma, Red River rivalry here. There's a lot of moving pieces in this one because we have seen a lot of Arch Manning for Texas, who is very good. He stepped in for Quinn Ewers, but it is being reported that Quinn Ewers should play in this game. Oklahoma has also made a quarterback switch, taking Jackson Arnold out, and now they have gone with Michael Hawkins Jr., who has done very good for them. So we saw the Oklahoma-Tennessee game. I believe we were both on the Sooners in that one. They lost 25-15 as a 6.5-point underdog. Now they're getting a lot more points in this game against Texas, 14.5. Do you think the Sooners can cover in this one with kind of unknown about both quarterbacks for both teams?
Well, this again, a derby game, what we call them, when you have two rivals that can't stand each other and they play every single year. Sarkisian, 3 years at Texas, Venables, 2 years at Oklahoma. So they've played each other twice, these two coaches. Sarkisian won the first time 49-0.
Wow.
And it was a rout. Texas just dominated the game. Venables got his revenge last year. He won 34-30. So
I remember that game very
yeah,
well.
it was a great game. And you know that this rivalry used to be called the Red River high scoring game. But they had to change the name of it. So they changed it to the Red River rivalry. It wasn't the Red River, it was the shootout. The
Yes.
Red River shootout.
Yes.
And with all of the school shootings now in the United States mainly, we can't call it a shootout. So it was that way because these games are high scoring. Last year, 34-30. 2 years ago, Oklahoma won 55-48. They are always played at the Cotton Bowl at the Texas State Fair. It's a great atmosphere. Both schools get the equal amount of tickets. So that crowd is split right down the middle every single year. Now, Texas, I have ranked third best offense, and Quinn Ewers is back. He will quarterback this week, but abdominal strain, and they were not sure if he was going to be ready to be back. That's something iffy. Arch Manning is his backup. It's a couple-point drop-off now if Evers can't go or it gets injured. Third best offense, second best defense, number one in the country right now. I say right now because they play Georgia next. This is their biggest game of the year, but I wonder if they've thought about, we play Georgia next at home. Oklahoma 49th on offense because Jackson Arnold has really struggled. With his struggles, I have no drop off to Thompson. So even play at quarterback, whoever Venable goes with, he's going to go with the hot hand, which is the smart move. 12th best defense. That's why we had them against Tennessee, because of their defense. And we saw what happened to Tennessee last week. They were beaten. 20th overall, 116 rating, 116.5 for Oklahoma. Performance rating just a 112 though.
Ooh.
This is Venable's first time as a head coach. He's been a lifetime assistant, basically. He was 10 years at Clemson, defensive coordinator there. So we'll see what happens with him if he is a head coach or if he was just meant to be a coordinator. Sarkisian has plenty of head coaching experience. He's the real deal, and he has the talent, and they should be the favorite. But I know I didn't make it that high, Alex.
No, and I did not either.
What'd you make it?
I made it 10.5, actually.
Probably better than what I made it. I don't think I had it. Well, no, I did. I was better than you. I made it 14.5 on a neutral. My final score, 31-17. I worry about the offense for Oklahoma. We watched them against Tennessee. That offense did not move the football. And Texas's defense is loaded, and Oklahoma's defense is better. But this total, 49.5, bet up to 51. I really don't have anything there, side or total, I wish I could give you. But I would never lay the points in a rivalry game like this.
I made it 51 as well. I may have given Oklahoma a little bit of home field here, so it might be closer to 12.5.
You gave somebody home field?
I did.
Oh, no, don't do that.
So, but you talked about that Oklahoma-Tennessee game at length on our show
Yes.
because you said that Oklahoma had the momentum, and then there was a major turnover where it all shifted.
It was early in the game. It was the second drive of the game, and Jackson Arnold threw an ill-advised pass into triple coverage and had it intercepted, and then he lost confidence
Right.
from there on out. And then Thompson came in and moved the team and got him down the field, but the defense played great all day. They give up a couple of big plays, which you don't want to give up those big plays, but Tennessee has so much speed, and their offense is great.
Should be a great game here between these two. As you mentioned, Texas will host Georgia up next. Tough. It's a tough one to bet. So I was leaning to taking the points here with the Sooners. Might have to dive in, do a little bit more work on that one.
I would suggest, and it's, people don't like to bet the dog and the under, but I would say a parlay because this could be a defensive battle with these two great defenses. And Evers coming back. Thompson, not the greatest of quarterbacks, and Jackson Arnold isn't either. These guys are only 2 points above the average college quarterback. So they've got some growing to do, and they've got to get better. I don't think they do well against this Texas defense, Oklahoma. I think they struggle offensively. But Oklahoma's defense will keep them in the game. So as I said before, this has always been a high-scoring series. But I think this weekend could be a low-scoring game.
Well, we're used to having Oklahoma be a high-powered offense,
Yes.
right, and not known for their great defense. So
A lot of Heisman Trophy quarterbacks come out of Oklahoma,
Yes, they
and
did.
just recently we've had several,
Well, shifting gears here, Ohio State going to Oregon. Now, this one I can give home field to Oregon here. Right now at the South Point, let me double check. Yes, Ohio State is a 3.5-point favorite on the road. Total is 53.5. We're going to have to break down this one. Two teams that are both undefeated. Ohio State 5-0, 3-2 against the spread. Oregon, a lot of people are worried about them right now. 5-0, they have found ways to win, but have only covered in one of their 5 games. Of course, for those that aren't as in-depth in this research, I will give you a little background here. Will Howard, Ohio State quarterback, comes over from Kansas State. Done very good for them so far. And then Oregon, of course, got Dylan Gabriel from the school we were just talking about in Oklahoma. So I'll let you go first. Any play for you in this game between these two?
what a great game. First of all, I made Oregon the favorite, 2 and 64.5. And this game opened Ohio State 4 and it stayed there. So no money. Great two-way action, but yeah, give me the home team. Will Howard's first real test on the road. He was at Michigan State, but the talent level is way down at Michigan State. So this is going to be a really tough game. He's up against a top 10 defense on the road.
Kansas State.
What's
right?
that?
Will Howard, Kansas State?
He came from Kansas State,
Yes.
but I'm saying he played Michigan State.
Okay, that's
on
the game
road.
before. Oh, that's a point I wanted to get to.
Yes, and now he's playing on the road at Oregon. The Michigan State team is a weaker team. They beat them 38-7. This is going to be a major test for Ohio State, Will Howard on the road. The home field is going to be a full, crazy atmosphere. I do give a coaching edge to Ryan Day. Dan Lanning, another guy, longtime assistant, was at Georgia, 3 years defensive coordinator, and he's only been at Oregon for 2 years, but he is 22-5. His team started slow, and they're 1-4 ATS. Well, both these teams have lost money if you bet them every game. Ohio State's 2-3, covering spreads, not covering 40%. You're down to 1.3 units if you bet every Ohio State game. You're down more if you bet Oregon. Now, the rankings. Ohio State, number 2 offense, number 1 defense, number 2 overall behind Texas. 1 point, a 130. Their performance rating, a 126. So they've underperformed the talent that I have on the field. One game they overperformed, and that was against Western Michigan. They did beat a good Iowa team last week, but that was at home, 35-7. This is the best team they played by far. Oregon, 7th best offense. Dylan Gabriel is a Heisman Trophy type quarterback. The defense, number 9, overall the 6th best team in the country playing at home, a 126.5 rating. Their performance rating, a 127, and that is mainly due to the last 3 games. Now, both these teams have played Michigan State. They both beat Michigan State. Ohio State covered on the road. Oregon did not cover at home. But I got a feeling Oregon might have been looking ahead to this game. I also think it's going to be a very high-scoring football game because you got 2 great defenses, but you got 2 great offenses.
May have been looking ahead, but they did still take care of business, and Michigan State actually either kicked or scored late in that game to get that cover. So that was more on the Michigan State side. Great point about the coaching advantage. I agree with you. Dan Lanning has not...
2 years, 25, and he's now 27-5.
Yeah, but they were the odds-on favorite to win the Pac-12 last year and lose by double digits to Washington. They have had some really bad letdowns in spots where they were supposed to win and set up for success there. But I want to ask you about playing the same opponent, because we have that example here with these two. They have both seen Michigan State now. It was 2 weeks ago. Ohio State played Michigan State. won that game 38-7. I think you mentioned that. And then Oregon coming off of that game against them, they won 31-10. So very close outcomes as well.
Two things that I like when I look at this, that Ohio State was on the road and won 38-7. And you remember, you cannot use scores to adjust or make bets with. You have to dig into the box score. Ohio State won the turnover battle in that game by 2. That's worth 8 points. So you basically say they won by 23. On the flip side, Oregon won by 21. They lost the turnover battle by 1. So you could basically say they won by 25. So really even my performance rating against Michigan State, and this comes into, I use all aspects, whether it was home or away, how the game was played. Oregon was a 127. Ohio State was a 126.
It's very
competing against the same team.
It's interesting. We'll have to dive into this more with the turnover battle because I did mark down that they each had 3 turnovers. Ohio State just recovered 2 of Michigan State's fumbles. So is that part of it? Because if you fumble and a team jumps on it and you don't lose,
well, turnover battle is when you lose
when you officially lose
the football.
So then I guess that they did not have 3 turnovers.
They might have fumbled 3 times.
Yeah. Or 2. I think he threw a pick.
I mean, I'd have to go back to the box score for you to see, and I can check that. But we don't have much time.
No, we don't. We have another game to get to. But I'm with you. I made Ohio State a 0.5 point favorite here on the road. So
Ohio State a half. So you're taking 4.
I'm taking 3.5. I think there's only
it's down to 3.5.
It's down to 3.5, and there's a lot of 3s out there. So if anybody else likes this, I would jump in now, getting the hook before it is just 3s everywhere.
And again, I like dogs, so this is a good dog play, and I like unders better, but I do like the over. So I will bet more on the dog than I do on the under. And again, these are probably smaller plays for me. I probably won't have these plays as 3% plays.
Okay, I think we have one more, right? Washington and Iowa. Now, somebody brought this up yesterday. It is very interesting. Washington coming off a big win over Michigan. Iowa coming off a loss to Ohio State. South Point right now, Iowa is a 2.5 point favorite at home, total 41.5. Really quick though, before you start this breakdown, and I'm going to forget if I don't do it now. Risen Wave is in the chat as well, and I don't know who it is, but I want to give them a shout out because they've been putting plays in our chat, and I have been keeping track, and they have been on a nice little streak. They did have the over, which we were talking about the other side for that Boston and Florida hockey game yesterday, and they were on Navy last week, which was a very good, easy cover for that home team. Back to Washington and Iowa. I made Iowa a much bigger favorite here. I might have to really look into this one and dive in, but I made Iowa an 8.5 point favorite at home over this Washington team.
Well, I did dive in. I did play Iowa, and you can lay 2.5 right now. I made the game 8. Washington, Jed Fish is the head coach, 3 years at Arizona, 17-22. He's been an offensive coordinator at UCLA, Michigan, Minnesota, Jacksonville. He was also an assistant offensive coordinator in the NFL. So he has a ton of experience, and he did do a nice job at Arizona. I think he's a very good head coach. They're 3-3 ATS. They just beat Michigan. That's who they just lost to in January for the national championship. They circled the wagons. They brought everybody in they could. The entire alumni was there in the stands, and that's the game they wanted. They won their Super Bowl game for the year, and now they got to go on the road to an Iowa team that's 3-2.
Should be.
It's Kurt
could be
Ferentz.
4-1.
It's a tough place to play in Iowa City, and they could be 4-1 very easily. They lost to their biggest rival, Iowa State, 20-19, in a game they dominated the first half. This is Iowa. This is Kurt Ferentz. He's a great head coach. I have Iowa ranked 25th in the country, 115.5 rating, and their performance has been a 117. So they've overachieved a 1.5. Washington, I have a 39th in the country, a 112.5 rating, but their performance rating is a 117. And so they've overachieved. But if I just used that and gave 5 points home field, I'd have Iowa 5. That's not even counting. This is a letdown. This is a letdown spot for the Huskies. I love Iowa here.
I did forget I knew it was a big game. I kind of forgot that was circled. They were wanted revenge on Michigan in that game. Because I was going to bring up the fact that this is now the third team that they are seeing that is very similar. They face Rutgers, very good defense, not great quarterback play. Michigan, same thing. And now Iowa falls right into that exact same scenario here. Even though Cade McNamara has been much better and given this Iowa offense some life, they are 4-1 to the over this year.
They're going to run the football. They're going to run the football, and they're going to run the clock, and it probably is a low-scoring game. Kirk Ferentz, 159 and 120 to the under. That's a lot of games. That's a huge sample size. He is a guy that's going to go under more often than over, and he's 4-1 over this year already. His last game went under against Ohio State last week. And I always say you learn more off a loss than you do off a win. Washington with the letdown. Iowa's going to learn something. I think Iowa bounces back, and I love these type of plays when I'm laying less than a field goal and I made the team more than a touchdown. So Iowa definitely one of my best plays of the weekend.
I like it. And not only for coaches, as sports bettors learn, I think, more from our losses than our
that's true.
Wins as well. But that's it for us today. We appreciate everybody hanging with us this week, Monday through Wednesday. You can find us 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., family affairs here. And then, of course, the show continues tomorrow and Friday, 9 a.m. Kenny White will be hosting both those days. Saturday, Jeff and I are back at 8 a.m. And then Sunday, 9 a.m. to get you ready for NFL Week 6. Remember, Punchlines comes up in 2 hours. You have to switch Punchlines FN. I will be there with Frank Nicotero today. I'm very excited about that. Thank you again to everybody in our chat. And Vince, Las Vegas, you're right. Go Knights, go. Rooting for the home team today on the ice. Again, we appreciate you. Please share our show. Get more people involved with us. We want to continue educating as much as we can about sports betting. I'll see you again next Monday. Have a great weekend. I'm sure we'll talk before then, but thank you everybody behind the glass. We appreciate you as well. This has been Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio.